Ohio is rich in history. Few are more aware of this than Greg Shipley of West Central Ohio. He's an enthusiast in prehistoric and early historic period artifacts, which he uncovers often in Ohio's farm fields. We recently visited Greg at his home to talk about his experience in the endeavor and to view his impressive collection.
Hey, welcome, Joel. Come on in. This is what I refer to as my relic room. And a lot of personally found material, along with some collected things. You normally don't find original iron pipe tomahawks laying out in the farm fields with their wooden handles on still, but most of the framed up materials are actually recoveries of mine. Some of them go back to 1961. Was born and raised in Champaign County, Ohio. Grew up on a family dairy farm. My mom was a 7th grade Ohio history teacher. So I kind of got my interest in history, honestly, you could say. And along with the fact that not only on my grandfather's farm, I discovered as a young boy of 6 years old that there were prehistoric artifacts to be found, that even though there weren't even any Vikings and Romans and Egyptians and Greeks, were fascinating to me as a little boy. And when I found my first broken arrowhead, which is this one right here in 1961, I realized that these were going to be my Greeks and Romans and Vikings, that I could find ancient things right here in Champaign and Logan County, Ohio, on our family property, and also on other farms that adjoined that allowed me to roam their fields. So I guess I was about 12 years old when I did my first excavation, and it was rather crude, but with the Ferguson tractor with the loader bucket on the front of it, I went back onto a little rise that was one of my best little arrowhead spots. And after Dad had fall plowed, I pushed the just turned over dirt off of an area that was maybe about the size of the room we're setting in. And the next spring, Dad wasn't real happy when he was back there checking to see how that ground was getting, for if we could get in to start working on it. And there was this little muddy lagoon-like spot that had heaps of dirt all over it. But I did learn, although I didn't find any fantastic artifacts from shoving that out, the area where I had pushed the plow zone away, there were little flint flakes everywhere. And I realized where the people were living, there were little litterings of signs that they had spent time there. So with the prehistoric site excavations that I'd learned to do long before metal detecting, when we got onto the historic sites, kind of parlayed that over. So we find the concentrated areas, whether it's a military encampment or a Native American village site, and when we find where they were living, we actually can shave that plow zone if it's a farm field, or if it's a woods area. Many times it's just barely underneath the roots of the grass and the weeds. Clear it off and hand excavate 10 by 10 or 4 by 4 foot areas, and actually controlled excavate. And we found 48 feet of one of the stockade walls that General Anthony Wayne's troops erected at the Fort Lormy site in 1795. We've actually found the only Anthony Wayne fort wall that's ever been discovered on an Ohio military site, because most of those sites are covered with cities now. Fort Lormy, Ohio, we were lucky. To the north of the creek from the town, the Fort Lormy military outpost is primarily undisturbed, other than where a small brick house was built, where at least one of the blockhouses was. So we will do controlled excavations just like professionals do. Now, I'm not a professional archaeologist, and I never professionally trained. I'm self-taught. And I know at times there's a shudder that if you're not a professional, you don't do this. Well, you can do this the right way if you're conscientious enough to do it that way, and especially on sites. No archaeological interest has ever been on a site that my Wayne's Legion research group that I helped found in 2013, we've gotten a lot of permissions because of the notoriety of what we do and how we do it. And we are invited by property owners to conduct investigations. Now, a lot of those investigations, all the material we recover, it stays with the family right on the property where we found it. Our interest is the history, documenting it with photographs and things, but it stays with the property owners. I'm not interested in things. I'm interested in the history that we can discover. And especially when we don't need a grant to do our work. A lot of times, and I know it's tough on professional archaeology these days, everybody's jockeying for that grant money so they can go out and do a grant. with students who are paying for their field excavation credits. So it's and we just decide we've got permission. Let's do an investigation and see if something is there. And sometimes there's nothing there, and a lot of times we've been very fortunate with our prior research. We're very sure about what we're going to encounter when we do most of these actual controlled excavations. We know something's going to be there.
Do you work exclusively on private ground?
Yes, private property with landowner permission. That's the only way to go. State and federal ground, there are complete restrictions. You are not allowed to disturb state or federal archaeological sites. Private property in Ohio, the property rights still belong to property owners in Ohio. And many farm families are very interested to see what is on the land that they pay taxes every year on. And they say, you do it the right way, and you're welcome to try. And then when they see what we're finding, sometimes it's gone. Become a very good friend of mine. He had a Native American site not far from here. He finally had decided to let us. His son-in-law was getting a Morton building area prepared by my one friend who has heavy equipment. His dozer was there, and he told us, he said, well, Friday afternoon, go ahead and go down there for a few hours and push around the plow zone. And we just skim it 2 inches at a time. We grid it off in 40 by 40 areas at 16 10-foot square string lines. And we'll put the strings up after we shave 2 inches. We'll determine what's in each area and keep it controlled and correlated. Then we'll take the string up, shave 2 more inches until we get to the bottom of the plow zone. Sometimes you start seeing post molds and trash pits and things like that never got plowed out, undisturbed areas. And he stopped with his grain truck partway through the afternoon, and we have tables out there, and we had a table full of material. He said, where'd this come from? And I said, well, this is what we're finding. He said, you found that today? And I said, yeah. He said, well, you can come back tomorrow. So he couldn't believe it.